The rest of the story. Paul Harvey, years ago, used to do a thing around 12 o'clock noon all the time called The Rest of the Story. He'd tell a part of the story and then he'd tell the rest of the story. Well, in all these stories that I tell, I'm just simply trying to express what I think, what I feel, what my opinion is, what my thought process is. And I'm trying to finish the story. I'm trying to bring the story back alive. And I know that it can be boring from time to time because I try to tell, a story every 1 or 2 minutes. I try not to make them too long. Sometimes they get longer, and sometimes these stories are just more talking and opinions, and sometimes I'm just talking. I don't mean to. But I try to give the rest of the story or what happened after the story. And it always seems so interesting to me that stories are sometimes so fun, so painful, so difficult, so cool, so hilarious. But usually after the event, years into the past, years into the future, we look back on these stories and we laugh. One story was my cousin Craig. He rode his motorcycle through Bonneville High School, down the stairs and out the front door during the lunch period. Anyway, he got in big trouble. He didn't think he was going to get caught. He put his helmet on, he had his motorcycle, but he had his dad's coveralls on, and everyone knew what his dad's coveralls looked like. He was the only guy in the city of Ogden who wore long white coveralls to work every day for carpet laying. And that's what he chose to disguise himself with. The cops knew instantly who he was. Anyway, got kicked out of school for a few days, but some of these things seem so tragic at the time they happen, but they're so dang funny later on. Some of them seem so painful, but there's such a great learning experience later on. Some of them seem so odd, but they're so unique later on. I learn by stories. I learn by experiences from others. I learn what not to do from others by their stories. I learn what to do by listening to other stories. I would much rather learn by a story than a horrible, crappy experience sometimes. But we all learn how we learn. So hopefully you can learn from others' experiences, especially the foolish decisions that they make, so that you make generally wise decisions.